Welcome to a special presentation of the Century National Bank Game of the Week on WHIZ-TV, presented by Century National Bank. Whatever's on your project list, let's talk loans. And brought to you in part by Kokonis Furniture and Mattress First in South Zanesville, and Route 79 just south of Heath, always making it easier for you to furnish your home. And by Wickham Audio and Technical Consultants. Today, area wrestlers fight for the title in the MVL Wrestling Championships. This is the Century National Bank Game of the Week on WHIZ-TV.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Muskingum Valley League Championships. We are at Crooksville High School. I'm Kevin Rao, alongside today Christian Mason. And Christian, this is one of those days for wrestlers in the MVL that they point to at the beginning of the season when they're actually in the first practices.
Believe it or not, I was an MVL wrestler as well, and the one tournament that I always look forward to was the MVL tournament. In the MVL tournament, it's like a battle of supremacy for your own conference. Like, if you're the champion of the conference, they think, it's a bigger deal than the rest. It's like your rivalry duels or your rivalry matches that you have, or even like in your Ohio State, Michigan football games.
Well, this is really a launch pad as well then to get into the tournament. If you can place in this, and especially if you can be the winner in your weight class, it really does propel you for the rest of the season.
Oh, absolutely. Even when you win one match, it really shows the motivation. Like, when you win one match, it's almost like you're the king of the world. And when I wrestled, I never placed in the MVL. I placed sixth. Actually, I placed sixth my sophomore year. And with these kids today, when they win this tournament, it's like they're on top of the world. They go to sectionals right before districts. They're like on a mission. Like, right after this, it's grind time.
Well, and you know this league. You've wrestled in it. You now coach in it at the middle school level.
Yes.
Which is one of the best middle school in terms of programs in the state of Ohio. We're going to see a lot of those kids out here. I know you know most of them personally. We're looking forward to that. So we're going to take a brief timeout. When we come back, we'll have our first match. 14 matches coming up for the championships in the MVL right after this. Welcome back. We're ready to start with our championship matches. First, it'll be the 106-pound weight class. Alexander Crane from Sheridan, Ethan Burkhart from New Lex. Christian, is it harder to be that first match like this?
Well, I never had that problem, but the first match is the set match for everything, and this match is one of them because these two wrestled before, and it was a great match.
And again, I'm sure they know each other from a ways back. Most of these guys start middle school or younger. Talk about the action a little bit there.
Well, right there you had him trying to hit a takedown. He tried to control the hips, but as he's going out, you hit out of bounds.
So no points awarded?
No points will be awarded there.
Again, there are 3 2-minute periods. If it goes that long, I think it's the most intense 6 minutes you're going to have. There's the score.
Right there you had 2 points of control with a cradle, which is you're going to have the head to the knee.
So talk about what the wrestler on the bottom is trying to do here.
Well, what he needs to do is, first of all, he needs to get his hips off the mat. As soon as you get down, you have to get to your base. You're going to hear build your base, build your base. For Burkhart on bottom here, he needs to build his base like he is and get his head off the mat.
The problem is Alexander Crane not letting him do that so far. Now he'll change.
Crane is known as a very tough mat wrestler, and he's always been like that. He's a sophomore this year at Sheridan High School, and he's one of the guys that you count on your team.
So when you say he's a mat wrestler, he wants to get down to the mat.
Yes.
Try to
once he takes you down, you need to be able to get out quickly or he will settle in.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing right here. 25 seconds left. Almost a reversal, but Crane able to hold on. Now he's still got to try to advance his position there, right, as the guy on top?
Absolutely. When you're on top, the goal is to place your opponent on their back and hold them there for at least 2.5 seconds.
To get the near fall if you can.
Near fall, you'll see the referee count to 5. All right, we're about to end the period. You're going to notice that the referee will flip the disc. When he flips the disc, he's going to ask the wrestler of the color of choice of top, bottom, neutral, or defer. New Lexington has chosen to go neutral where they're both on their feet.
And what would be the reason for his decision to do it? He wants to be able to get a takedown?
Now, as you can, when you take the choice of neutral, sometimes like a lot of them will choose bottom to score points. But however, as you can tell, if he gets down, he had a hard time last period. Now, the thing about Burkhardt is he was good on his feet. And as you can tell, he's getting in a very scrambling situation, but he's also finding himself in a dangerous situation.
And there are 2 points. Another takedown for Crane of Sheridan.
And as I've said before, Crane is what you call a very talented wrestler, and he's one of those athletes you see as a strong.
And there was the pin. So it was a matter there, once he got control, trying to work him onto his shoulders.
Right. So basically what he did was he put the half Nelson in, which basically took his hand and put it over the head. And as soon as he put his foot on the mat, Burkhardt had no choice. He had no way of getting out. Therefore, you have a fall.
So Alexander Crane is the winner with a second period pin in the 106 division. So we'll move on to 113. And last name we recognize in New Lex and Ratliff, Tyler Ratliff it is.
Believe it or not,
he's actually from Sheridan.
Believe it or not, he's actually the nephew of Coach David Ratliff.
Okay.
He is wrestling Drew Boyer, who is a very solid wrestler. I've watched him the last few years. Tyler, as you can see, got 2 points with a takedown, but however,
there's a reversal for 2 points.
What happened was Boyer used his motion to put him down, and now he ends up being on top, getting his reversal.
And he gets another 2 points. Does Boyer of Sheridan. Leads it now 4-2, a minute 20 to go in this first period. Started out promising for Ratliff, but Boyer quickly reversed him. And
he's got a very deep half Nelson here. What Ratliff needs to do is try to get now, as you can tell, the referee is now counting, and he seems to have a count. Now he's holding 2 points because he still has the same holding situation that he'd had before.
Up, another reversal. Gets back to within a couple. 6-4, does he get his shoulders to the mat? Boy, this match has gone back and forth.
This has been a great match. These two are very tough wrestlers. I've never seen 2 tougher wrestlers at this weight class.
Trying to get those other 2 points back on the near fall. 35 seconds to go in the period. Let's see, can he tie it up, maybe even take the lead? No, he's going to win it. Wow, talk about Ratliff started out, Christian, really in charge and then got reversed. It looked like he was in trouble. He reverses it and gets the pin.
The great thing is that Ratliff and Boyer were not the 1 and 2 seeds. They were not projected to be in this match, and then you see a great feat by both wrestlers, and also it went back and forth up till that point.
That's one of the best I've seen. That was only 1 period worth. Unbelievable. So New Lex, their 3rd straight final coming up. It'll be Blake Shepard against Braden Rittenhouse of West Muskingum.
And I've known Braden Rittenhouse for years. This has been his moment here. He last year was the champion at, I believe, the 120-pound weight class.
So trying to repeat. But he finds himself behind as Shepard gets the takedown.
And Blake is very solid, very overall talented athlete. He is actually committed to Lake Erie College for collegiate wrestling.
Good for him. That school has really added to their athletic department in the past 10 years. Really built up a nice program in a lot of different sports. Again, trying to gain a little more control, getting turned over. Shepard for New Lex on top. Rittenhouse, West Muskingum trying to get out from under. What kind of move is he trying? He's trying to flip him.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to reach through and grab his wrist to turn him to his back for some quick points from quick back points. Now, as you can see, he starts to readjust as Rittenhouse was able to get to his base.
And he's keeping hold of the leg. You notice he's not letting that left leg get. Well, now he does. And you talk about trying to get to his base.
Right now,
that's what
he's getting to his feet and he's trying to escape here, and he's moving. And as you can tell, he was able to stay behind him. Your goal is here, and like as you've seen in reversals, but what he was trying to do is get a 1-point escape by getting away and able to face him like in the neutral position.
Coming down to it, 22 seconds in this first period, and off the mat they go. It will be Shepard of New Lex in the up position, which is really kind of how they've been wrestling the last couple of minutes.
Well,
in this position right here. And as we come down to it, you got to imagine Rittenhouse is just trying to get the 1 point.
He's right now at the end.
And he does.
And I'll tell you, points at the end of the period are the biggest points you will score in a match because they can't respond to it in the same period.
And they go off the mat, neither with control. So with 0.9 seconds to go, referees are going to talk about it a little bit.
What they're discussing is they thought at the point there, you heard some people thought it was 2 in regards to the action. What they're looking for is they were asking, there were 2 points of control. You had him around the head and also had a leg locked. But what he's also looking for is if the hips are covered as well.
So the discussion going on now with the coach, I believe
Coach Ratliff from New Lexington.
Yep.
He's just asking for an explanation of why he didn't give him 2 points.
So 2-1. Shepard on top. They'll flip for the choice.
Choice will go. Now, as you can see, he deferred choice, so he decided, I don't want to make the choice my second period. I'll go ahead and choose in the third period. And Blake decided to go down and be the defensive wrestler in this position.
So he thinks he can escape pretty quickly.
Yes.
Although
right now,
yet.
He's not. Right now, and Braden is very good he's a very good top wrestler, very technical wrestler.
But again, 1 point for an escape, 2 points for a reversal.
Right now, we're in a position where Braden is still in control, but he is not. But Blake has not secured points of control.
And they're going to stop. We were in kind of a dangerous spot.
Yes, actually, what happened was legs were starting to come close around the throat and cause pressure on the neck and upper shoulder region. Therefore, we had to stop action.
Again, it's all about safety for the wrestlers.
That's the one key point as an official is safety of the wrestlers. We want to make sure they can go home at night and be able to, be able to wake up and do their morning routines, do their daily things, go to school on their weekdays. Some have jobs, they have to go to work.
So you can tell, especially with a 2-referee crew. And we're close to a reversal. There it is.
And the referee in this position has considered him to have points of control, just like a takedown. Therefore, he had reversed him since he hadn't escaped him yet.
It's interesting sometimes how long the wait is, and I know you referee as well.
Yes.
But you really want to make sure, right? You don't want to call that.
They call it let it burn. Here's the problem. You call it too quickly, and all of a sudden you get a scramble position, and there's just constant wrestling. You have to make sure it's secured. It's like in basketball, when you dribble a basketball, if you're not in control, it could go any way. Or if there's a foul, you want to make sure the basket goes in. You always want to let the play happen or let the action continue and make sure that there's a secure takedown.
So 30 seconds to go in this one. A 4-1 lead for the New Lex wrestler, who's on top at the moment. Blake Shepard working against Braden Rittenhouse, and again they go off the edge.
Some people are probably curious why he didn't get one there. The reason why he didn't get one there is because they went out of bounds, therefore control was still established.
So you've got to get the escape before you get over the line.
Right here we had it's like a false start, and when the referee holds up a C with his hand, it means caution. You get so many cautions before you get a point. After 2 cautions, the 3rd caution would be 1 point, and 4th would be 1 point, and so on.
So is that something they've recorded now, that caution?
Yes,
Okay.
but in the scorebook there would be like a C in the appropriate box, yes.
So 3 seconds. Shepherd still in control, although now the choice will go to Rittenhouse for the 3rd period since he deferred, and he is going to take – they'll both be up.
He's electing to go neutral. He thinks he can take him down here.
He trails it by 3. Shepherd of New Lex, and he'll get the very quick takedown.
I've been absolutely impressed with Shepherd in this match. He's actually going for his 4th title. There haven't been very many 4-time MVL champions, and he would mark himself in MVL history here by doing that.
Sure. That's as good as you can do, right? I mean,
yes.
That's why he's going on to wrestle at the next level. And again, he allowed the escape after the takedown. I think he's got to feel like he's firmly in charge of this.
He's wrestling smart here. He doesn't want to get reversed. The thing is, Rittenhouse is actually very good at taking advantage of certain situations. And Blake understands that because they've wrestled before. Of course, they've known each other probably for a long time. They're both seniors. There is a big hype about both these wrestlers because Rittenhouse this year had one of the best years he's ever had. He's also a 3-time district qualifier, and this year hopes to make it to the state level.
Sure. Well, another 2 points for Shepherd. And again, allowed to escape.
He's trying to be smart, like I said. The thing is, the last thing you want to do, it doesn't matter what the score is. If you get put on your back, it can change the entire aspect of the match.
We're in the 3rd period. Another takedown for Shepherd. He extends his lead to 10-3. He's been impressive. And you can tell Rittenhouse, a lot of strength, as you mentioned, Christian, a good technical wrestler. But today, Shepherd really has been dominant.
And honestly, this is a match that I was looking forward to today that I've been watching. And they both have had phenomenal seasons, and I wish them both the best after their seasons are over.
Well, something tells me we're going to see their names moving up the tournament sheets as they go on to the postseason tourney. But again, this is a good indicator of how these young men can do it. You mentioned Shepherd going for his 4th MVL title.
As you can see, Rittenhouse very good about getting his hips out. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for this match.
No, just not his day to day. And there you see signals 4 for 4 championships.
And
Blake Shepherd, the winner.
And I want to say congratulations to his family. They're a wonderful family, and he is a wonderful athlete, very talented, and I wish him the best in the next tournament.
Something tells me his name, as they say, will rise in the brackets as he gets going in the postseason, but we also expect to see that from Rittenhouse as well. Next match, our 126 match, Michael Eckelberry taking on Cody Beal. Eckelberry from Sheridan, Beal from New Lex.
This is a rivalry match. This is one of those grudge matches that you want to see. It's actually the 126-pound weight class. For this weight class, Blake Shepherd actually wrestled Michael Eckelberry at the 113 finals in 2019. Now, Eckelberry this year has had a rough year. He was battling sicknesses, but now he's back. He's strong. He's wrestling better than ever. He actually knocked off the #1 seed in the semifinals to get to this point.
So 2 talented wrestlers. You've got to kind of tip your hat to New Lex. They've been in all these final matches.
New Lexington's a wonderful group of young men, and we also have a couple young ladies on our team who are on the team that are very good. I want to mention Cody Beal this year for Christmas decided to buy shoes for the less fortunate people at New Lexington Middle School. His goal was to make sure that the kids had what that everyone else could have. He didn't want anything else for Christmas but to do that.
Oh my gosh. What a tremendous young man. Again, we're talking about Cody Beal from New Lex.
But this doesn't take anything from Eckelberry. Eckelberry is a very talented athlete.
As you said, fought back from tough season.
Sophomore this year, wrestled 113 last year, had a tough weight class with Blake Shepherd in that weight class. This year he's hoping to pull off the win.
2-1. Beal on top for New Lex. 30 seconds to go in this first period. And, you know, you talk about a sport where really the maximum amount of time is 6 minutes in any particular match. And it might as well be 2 hours of exertion.
Oh, my goodness.
It's incredible.
I'll tell you what, when I went to the college level and wrestled, when it was 7 minutes. So imagine the extra minute added on just after getting used to 6.
And we're going to have a stalemate as they go off the edge.
Basically, what a stalemate is, when a referee signals a stalemate, you'll see his 2 fists come together. But that means it's like if 2 bulls come together and there's no movement, basically both wrestlers can't advance their position.
And time will run out. We'll go to the second period with Beal up by 2-1. Again, I want to just emphasize that point. What a big heart, not only to wrestle hard, but to use his own Christmas money to benefit others. What a nice thing to hear about. What a great thing that he did. So
it's motivational, and I wish all athletes who are like that, you know, the best. I hope that all athletes and all people realize the importance of helping the less fortunate.
Well, and these young athletes also realize that in their communities, they're celebrities.
Oh, absolutely. Eccleberry is a prime example of this. In Sheridan, it's a big wrestling community. And, you know, he's had a lot of success, and he's only a sophomore. I mean, imagine after this year how successful he's going to be.
Well, he's still got plenty of time in this one, down by just 1.
If this match is far from over, I mean, you could see in any wrestling match. Now, as you can tell, there was a stalling called on Red. What happened was Red wasn't able to make an attempt to bring the wrestler down, therefore a stalling call was made.
So you get a point for Beal. He's now up 3-1.
Yes, we had an escape. Right now we're in right here we got could possibly be a position where it could become dangerous or become a scramble. As you can tell, Michael's in deep on that leg. What Cody has to do is try to get around, get his 2 points, while Michael's got to get his leg up.
And back up they go without any points being determined. But you can just see that momentum sometimes and just leverage can change in the blink of an eye.
It's a science. Just like you learned in science class, it is a science in this sport. You literally are using it to your advantage at times. If you get the leverage, they always say the best leverage is the best thing. Oh, and we have a nice deep shot here.
And again, still on the mat, but just barely with 25 seconds to go in this second period.
What Michael needs to do is he needs to keep his hips off the mat just like that and get out.
You can tell that's what he's doing.
Oh, and he's, like I said, he's a very agile wrestler. He's very intelligent, knows where he is. And that's the thing. A lot of wrestlers people don't realize that wrestlers have to be tough mentally, physically, emotionally, and
again,
in all aspects of the game.
They'll put them both up as we were stalemated. You see Eccleberry for Sheridan pushing Beal's head down. Is that a way to gain control?
When a guy takes a shot, your job is to get around him. The thing is, and like you'll notice, just like in anything, the head is going to be a very big defensive point. If the head is up, it's harder to go around to get your points, and you can use it to stop your opponent from turning around. If you press the head down, you extend his arms out from his shoulders, and it's able to get around him. And that was a phenomenal escape there.
So give one to Eccleberry. So he gets back to within a point of New Lexington's Beal. This is anybody's match coming down.
This is the match we all look for. This is the match that people want to watch. These close matches, the grind. You'll hear me say this a lot. There's the grind. It's kind of like it's the friction that you want to have. It's like the excitement plus. When you watch anything, you want action. You want close games. You want to see. Right, you want to see wrestling. You don't want to see people stall, and this is an example of a great match right here.
Still no points awarded as both go to the mat, now back up.
I will say this, though, for an Beal's situation, this could be an hour. This 1 minute could be an hour.
Right.
And
when you can feel that, the amount of effort that they're expending.
Oh, And after the match, you feel like you've just ran 5 miles.
And to do several matches today, we're going to get
possible accidental poke in the eye here.
And we'll get a trainer out and the coaches.
A lot of times you'll have some incidental contact. The idea is, you're supposed to keep your hands out of the face. Sometimes things just happen.
See if that has any impact. 40 seconds.
That
Beal, and he will get the 2 on the takedown.
very impressive there by Beal. Let's see if Huckleberry can respond to this.
With the fans getting into it, you can tell people were pointed at this match and escape.
Like I said, Huckleberry knocked off the number 1. Huckleberry knocked off the number 1 seed. And that's an impressive feat as it is, because thing is, the guy comes in, the guy's a state qualifier, and he knocks him off. Now, the history between the two, Huckleberry has owned the head-to-head competition with that number 1 seed, though.
So Huckleberry needs a takedown here in the last 6 to even the match, force overtime. And it looks like Beal will be able to keep from it. What a great match.
This is probably
We've
going to
had
be
some good ones.
one of the top matches today. These two were ready to lock it up together, and I'm telling you, these two are going to see each other again in the future.
Again, very likely in the postseason they'll run into each other again. But what a fun match. Now, this will be the first match we have today that a new Lex wrestler is not in the final.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of those, but the thing is,
there aren't.
now, as you can see, this is another Huckleberry. This is actually his cousin Joseph Huckleberry
And he's
for
a
Tri-Valley.
Tri-Valley guy.
And then we have Colin Van Rooyen, who was actually a former Tri-Valley wrestler who came to West this year.
So Van Rooyen at West Muskingum, Huckleberry from Tri-Valley.
Huckleberry has been in the finalist was in the finals of the MVLs his freshman year. He wrestled a guy named Sean Pletcher. You'll see him at the 138-pound weight class. These two wrestlers are physically just strong. They're tough. As you can tell, when you look at them, you're like, wow, these are every bit of 132 pounds.
And it's kind of at this point where the musculature becomes a little bit different. You can tell they're not afraid to add a little bit of weight at this point to the frame.
And a lot of these guys at this weight class, they are agile. They're quick, but they're also strong. So you get
it's
that
kind of
mixture.
that match of those, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Like you'll notice, and even in the 106-pound weight class, you'll have some strong characters there. But I'm telling you, once you get to 132, 138, 145, 152, you see all the muscle heads, as we like to call them. They're strong, they're quick, they're intelligent, and when they're on the mat, you don't want to lock up with them.
And you see no points awarded yet in this one.
Joseph was a state qualifier his freshman year from Tri-Valley, and as a freshman to become a state qualifier, and he won a match. To win a match as a freshman in the state tournament is no easy feat.
Because you see, if Van Rooyen came from Tri-Valley, these guys probably wrestled a little bit.
These guys have probably known each other for years.
Right.
Now, actually, Huckleberry came from Riverview.
Oh, okay.
After his 8th grade year, he moved to Tri-Valley's district to, sometimes to pursue an opportunity. And it's not always necessarily, sometimes it's academic. And, you'll get to those situations where you'll see kids at different schools, but they find sometimes there's a benefactor going somewhere, maybe a college-wise, maybe a job-wise.
In Riverview, we will see next year.
Oh, yes, that's going to be they've got some very talented freshmen there right now this year, so it'll be fun.
And, again, what?
As you can see, he stopped the match. The reason being, his elbows going above 45 or above. Basically, you have to have that arm straight on the back. It happens is if it gets too far up, of course, you're going to have elbows hurting or have shoulder dislocations. We don't want that as referees. We need to make sure these wrestlers go home every night.
Van Rooyen shoots as he tries to get control. Still no control.
And this is one of those scramble situations that I've talked about before. The idea is you got to have the high ground, got to have the leverage. Sometimes you find yourself in those situations and you don't know how in the world, how do I get out of this? And all of a sudden you see the guy that you don't think is going to be on top just gets on top.
So no points awarded in the first period. Van Rooyen defers on the choice. And Huckleberry chews in the down position. Try to escape and get that first point or maybe even reverse it. Van Rooyen right on top This is going to look more for the reversal here, wouldn't you think?
This is a very 50-50 situation.
It really
sometimes.
is. Every time you think somebody's getting leverage, it spins. Oh, but quickly.
We got a reversal, and he's on his back. So right here, if Joseph can stick him, that'll be huge.
And it is close to it. Eckelberry on top, trying to get the pin.
As you see, Van Rooyen's not going out without a fight here, guys.
We didn't see the reversal called yet.
And he's
didn't need to. It'll be the pin and the win.
The first thing we got to worry about as officials is if he's on his back, we've got to make sure we're there. Now, the idea, now we know as wrestling, as we view wrestling, you know, it's just everywhere. You don't know where points are going. You don't know where anything's going. The idea is, you know, we're counting on the referee to tell us when there's points. Now, in that situation, he's trying to make sure that the pin hasn't happened before he gives, because let's say, for example, he gives
there's
the two.
plenty of time to make the call.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand. And we've got, I'll tell you what, we have got tremendous referees here. In fact, the Zanesville mayor, who you know a little bit, Don Mason, in fact, he'll stay out there and get these wrestlers started.
Yes, and he's actually my father. He has been reffing for 41 years. And this match right here is what I was talking about with Pletcher. He actually came from Philo. They ended up moving into the district to pursue a different, just to see something different. And I'm telling you, I've watched both these wrestlers, and Factor is no cakewalk.
So Pletcher for New Lex just picks up a couple points. Sean Pletcher. It's Devin Factor for Sheridan.
Now, these two have not met this year yet, but they're both. But Devin Factor, I have watched wrestle this year. He's a very technical wrestler, very, very talented. I'm hoping to see how he does the rest of this season. For Pletcher, as you can tell, he's methodical. He likes to kind of scope his targets out like you would in like a military sniper. He likes to scope it out.
Well, you can see that. He's taking his time here. There is an escape given to Factor, so he gets to within a point. 2-1 it is in favor of New Lex's Sean Pletcher. Right at the edge of the mat, and now they're off. And by the way, I did know that Don Mason was your dad. I'm going to let you make that call. Actually, Don's been nice enough to be on with us the last couple of years. Newly reelected to his job as mayor in Zanesville and still working matches. Great wrestler as a youngster. In fact, I tell the story. My dad actually interviewed him back in the day when he was
right
on
here's
his road to the state.
This situations are one of those situations where you're like, how in the world did he just come out with 2 points and back points?
That happened quickly.
I mean, you look at it now, it's like, well, isn't this a 50-50 position? But then all of a sudden, it's a whole different ball game.
And then all of a sudden, it gets to 7-1. I mean, in a blink of an eye.
Right there, he had basically they call that a 5-point move. So he took him down and turned him for some 5 points. As you can see, New Lexington is questioning a call. I'm assuming it is for possible score situation.
Let's see where we are. So it was a 3-point near fall.
Yes.
Yep.
The Pletcher from New Lexington received a 5 count. Therefore, he would get 3 points. I'm assuming that there was blood time is why he stopped the match.
Okay.
And
been treated and
yes,
sprinted right back out to the middle.
Oh, the wrestlers, these guys, you'll see them sprint to the center. You want wrestlers sprinting to the center. You want them. They're here to wrestle. That's what they're here for. Referees love seeing that. It helps them understand, all right, who's stalling, who's not, just by their demeanor and by how they're thinking. Right here, we got another takedown by Pletcher.
Pletcher is maybe the quickest guy we've seen yet today.
Pletcher he's a junior this year, and he actually recovered from an ankle injury he sustained in football. He actually hurt his ankle, and now he is back. And I think he's better than ever.
And they'll go off the mat at the end of period number 1, but a big lead for Sean Pletcher over Devin Factor, 9-2.
And Joseph Eckelberry, his freshman year, wrestled Sean his freshman year. And that match went to the favor of Pletcher, but it was a very solid match, very tight, close match.
And they're making the call now. They'll both start up as Pletcher had the call, so he went for the neutral position. Again, he is incredibly quick, low center of gravity. Up
I'm interested
by
to see
7.
I'm always interested to see how the wrestler who's down can maybe score a few more points here, though, because I think Factor has that opportunity to do that.
If he can get the takedown and maybe, like you, get those quick 3 on a near fall.
As you can see, he stopped that pretty quickly. You know, the last thing we want, it might not be dangerous in that moment, but it possibly can be. And then we don't want any wrestlers, again, going home hurt.
So they did stop it, start back up in the neutral position, second period. In this 138-pound weight class, the 6th of our 14 championship matches today here at Crooksville High School. Kevin Rouch, Christian Mason with you. Again, no points awarded there.
That
Quickly,
was slick.
kind of used Factor's momentum against him, right? To
And
get behind him.
It's the science. You see the science of everything, not just what you do in class, but you see it in motion. And using the momentum right there, he felt like maybe Factor had a chance to do something more to him. And sometimes you just gotta let him go, get him 1 instead of giving him 2 points.
Exactly. Just to remind people, the escape is 1 point. If the down wrestler can reverse it, it's 2. So sometimes you just let go and take your lumps with 1 point.
You
And
hear
avoid
coach,
the 2 points.
You hear Coach say a lot, give up 1, not 2, give up 1, not 2. What that means is if you start to lose him, don't give him a 2-point reversal, give him a 1-point escape instead. It's easier to come back from 1 point than it is 2 or even 4 or 5.
So again, both in the neutral position. Pletcher just has been so quick in this one to build the lead. And they're close to off. Not quite. They both got to be. You hear the referee tell him to let him in, let him back onto the mat. Pletcher does, and then gets another quick 2 points. And he'll allow the escape.
And I think another reason why I let him out is that Factor had control of both of his hands. And if you don't have your hands, in regards to that position, it's hard to do.
Even for a amateur like me, that sounds that sounds convincing. I'd want to have control of one of those hands. And it is Factor's choice. He elects to start up. He needs to make something happen.
The reason why he chooses top is because, neutral, he hasn't had much success, and then bottom, he hasn't had much. So why not try to start in the offensive position on top and see if you can get a couple turns here?
But he quickly loses control, and a point to Pletcher for the escape puts him back up by 10.
And I haven't failed to mention this, but right now, as it stands, he's in something we call a major decision situation. If he were to win by 8 points or up to 14,
so it helps his team in the team standings.
It's called bonus points. It'd be instead of 3 points, it'd be 4 in regards to a team duel or anything like that. The idea is to pin your opponent for the maximum amount of points, and then there's a tech fall, which is like a mercy rule. It's by 15 points. Then you have from 8 to 14, you have for major decision. And then you have your decision, which is anything lower than that.
I would think, based on the early going, New Lex has got to be in a pretty good place in terms of the team standings.
Team standing-wise, they are leading, and I believe it has been sealed already. But, again, there's much more wrestling left to go.
Oh, absolutely. A minute left in this one, and Pletcher another couple of points.
I mean, the easiest thing you could do, though, is even if you've sealed in team points, it's easy to just bow out and say, I don't feel like wrestling these guys anymore. But this is a personal factor. This is a one-on-one competition. You want to see how you do. Even if you haven't won as a team, you want to win as an individual.
Pletcher for New Lex on top. Devin Factor from Sheridan, the other wrestler. And he'll get the escape. So 11-point lead now for Pletcher. So we get close to the last half minute of this match. Pletcher's got to be careful. He almost found himself in a bad spot, able to get his balance back.
I mean, Factor takes an advantage of that situation. You have a whole new match.
Well, that's it. A pin doesn't matter what the points are right before that. Pletcher stumbled just a little bit, but able to get himself righted. So we get within the last 10 seconds. will go off the mat with 4.9. See, you just and Fletcher's still aggressive as time winds down.
And in a wrestling mindset, there's no such thing as too many points.
Right.
You got to score points. You know, if
and
you
it
go
is
out,
a major decision, as it turns out.
Yes, for the team standings, that it's a big deal.
Next in the championships at the 145 class, it'll be Carter Weingartner from West Muskingum, Trey Hellwig from New Lex.
And these guys have met before this year, and Carter had the best of him. But Trey Hellwig is a wrestler that he will end up in situations you wouldn't imagine a wrestler could get out of, and he could just come out on top. Carter is a two-time state qualifier, three-time district qualifier, state placer his sophomore year, first one from West Muskingum to place in state. He is also – so he was actually sidelined for a lot of this year due to a knee injury.
Yeah, you can tell he's got the big support on his knee.
But he was able to battle back and say, I'm not done here. We're gonna win.
That has to hurt.
Well, and what I am impressed with is that he did not bring him down hard. He brought him down with control. So he wouldn't have a slam and any possible worst thing that could happen after that.
So he does get 2 points, does Weingartner from West Muskingum. He will be on top. Hellwig from New Lex on the bottom. And Weingartner, you can tell, the level of his strength so far in this one has been easy to see. Although an escape there.
I've known him since his 7th grade year, and he doesn't know the meaning of 99%.
Yeah, I understand.
He is I go 100% or I'm going down. He doesn't know what it means to let up. I've known him for very long. Whenever I had experience with him as a coach, he would always want to take control of the match and control it the entire time. He was never one of those guys who let up. He's like, I got to score, and I got to score often.
Well, and he looks like one of those guys that just wants to win it right now.
Yes. He actually does a lot of wrestling over the summer, and he does a lot of different things. He's trained in different styles of wrestling. He's trained in different rooms. He doesn't know how to not work hard. He's one of those guys you want in your room.
You're talking about Carter Weingartner for West Muskingum. He's got the 4-2 lead.
On the other hand, Trey is another one of those kids. He's one of those kids you want to have in your room. He works hard. He does everything he can for the team. Today he was not projected to be in the finals, and he made it there. That's another reason why wrestling, when your rankings or seeds or not, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because wrestling is a whole different ball game.
Until you've been out on the mat.
Oh, I've 10 years of that in my book.
Mono on mono, right? I mean, you just don't know.
Oh yeah, and thing is.
And it could be a little loss of leverage here or there.
The smallest change makes the biggest difference, and it's basically in anything.
Again, lifting him and getting him to the mat. He's done that now 3 times as time runs out in this first period. So Weingartner, a 6-2 lead going to period number 2. New Lex, the call. Hellwig elects to be on the bottom.
For Hellwig, what he needs to do right now is he's just got to get back to the neutral position. Well, we have a caution on Weingartner, I believe, and he was able. I think it's due to the fact he was starting in a tight waist position. Basically, he's supposed to have one hand on the belly button while one hand's supposed to be on the elbow.
Again, you get not until the third one of those cautions, right?
Correct. That would be one, and basically, if you get one before the match starts, let's say somehow you have that, it sticks with you the rest of the match.
And again, what happens on the third one?
1 point for the other wrestler, the opposing wrestler. Right now, he's got himself in an arm bar, and this is one of those most painful moves I've been in.
He's trying to get control, getting the count on the near fall. Very close to the pin. Referee right down in there trying to see.
And that's one of the hardest things as officials to see a pin sometimes, because you don't want to tell the wrestlers move this, move that. You want them to wrestle.
Well, I tell you, the referee trying to not get kicked in the head down there.
I've experienced that a few times.
Because he shielded himself. He's going to get 3 on a near fall at least here. Minute to go in the period.
As you're going to see, Hellwig's not going down without a fight.
He is.
If you're going to beat him, you got to earn it when it comes down.
He is just trying to keep his right shoulder up and off the mat. Weingartner trying to figure out a way. And there is the 3 points for the near fall.
And Hellwig's a very tough competitor to pin.
Well, I tell you, a lot of guys would have lost heart down there, and he did not.
He doesn't know what that is either. His heart's always where it should be.
Weingartner, again, trying to position him. Is he going to have more success this time? The count goes for the near fall. 20 seconds to go in the period.
I will say this, that New Lexington as a team, they go down to Florida every year, and they compete in the Disney duels. Trey is one of those members who goes down there, and to be on that team, you have to be a pretty good wrestler. And he's one of those guys that he goes down there and he competes.
Again, and there it is. He did with just 0.7 seconds to go in the second period.
And I want to say congratulations to Carter Weingart on his 3rd MVL championship, and I wish him the best, and I hope Trey does not take this as a negative. He's ready to project himself. He can do anything he puts his mind to. He's a very talented athlete, a very genuine young man.
I'll tell you, we've seen some good ones here today. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of this MVL Championships, and we'll do it right after this. Welcome back. Kevin Rouch, Christian Mason, getting ready for the 152-pound weight class.
Well, actually, we're in the 160. What happened was 152. Jordan Burnett from Sheridan did not compete. Therefore, Andrew Knopf has received his MVL championship this year as a senior. Now we are in the 160-pound weight class.
And it is Andrew McPhee for West Muskingum against Simon Allen from New Lex. So we advance to 160 pounds.
These two wrestlers are both seniors in their respective schools. Both Andrew was a state qualifier his sophomore year 2 years ago, and for Simon here, he's not a state qualifier, but when you watch him wrestle, you think he's a national qualifier. I mean, he is absolutely unreal when it comes to his positioning. But I will say this but do not sleep on Andrew McPhee. Andrew McPhee is one of those wrestlers. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's doing. Once he gets his way, it's so hard to come back from it.
McPhee in the down position, trailing 2-0. Allen trying to turn him a little bit. Again, these two schools today really have been the schools, along with Sheridan, that we've talked about.
Well, even if we don't see all the schools, I don't want anyone to think, well, these schools aren't good. These schools have all competed with 100% effort today, and it just so happens that these schools that you'll see in the finals are the ones that just came out on top.
But no, one of the things, Christian, that we've talked about with your dad last couple of years, the quality of the middle school programs as feeders to the high school. Well,
and I am a big advocate for middle school wrestling and even youth wrestling, but middle school wrestling is where it really, really begins. I have coached middle school. This is now my 5th year, and at the middle school level this is where you figure out, do you belong? Once you hit that freshman year, you're back on bottom, but the thing is, if they were hard workers and grinders in the middle school level, you'll see that they will succeed at the high school level.
And we're going to McPhee in the down position, trailing by a couple as we wind things down in this first period.
But I do want to mention, though, about 152, Andrew Knopf was also a state qualifier last year and second place in districts, and he has 130-plus wins this year in his career. And it's a feat that I've never, ever seen in my life. And to see that someone wins that many matches is absolutely incredible.
So hats off to him, although we fortunately didn't get a chance to see him. But, again, all these guys we're going to follow on into the tournament.
And Andrew McPhee, another 100-win achiever this year. I think he has about 110-plus maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll say this. Andrew has earned every bit of all those wins.
Well, and I would encourage people to come out as the sectional start come out and cheer these guys on. I mean, this is sport, and it's purest when you look back in the Olympic movement. And I mean, this is a guy against another guy. You don't time anything. You don't.
There is no excuses on the mat. Like, for example, you see here, Simon, there's no one helping Simon or helping Andrew on this match. You see, they're wrestling one-on-one. Right here is, though, that was a very nice maneuver there. What he did was he was able to get behind him and get a 2-point reversal. I mean, and to do that on Andrew McPhee, that takes a lot. And he's one of those guys with long legs. He's very good at keeping the guy down on the mat.
Simon Allen in the lead now, 6-0. He'll start on top. 1:39 to go, second period.
If I'm Andrew, I'm not thinking big move right now. I'm thinking get out, let's restart neutral.
And they're counting the near fall, but not enough for points.
People will probably think, well, why doesn't he get points? We only had a 1 count each time. Every time he came out of criteria, you have to restart the count. It's not, you don't keep the same count.
And it's got to be how many seconds to get it?
It's 2 seconds for 2 points, up to 4. And then once you hit 5 points, it's 3.
Okay. So all about the timing, and you'll see the referee count it off with the movement of his hands.
That was a very dangerous situation there.
Again, not able to escape, so it stays at 6-0.
McPhee was in the finals last year against a young man from Maysville, and he showed that he belonged in wrestling even as a junior, but he has solidified himself as one of the better kids from West Muskingum in their history. Not many West Muskingums can say, hey, I've gotten this many wins. I've been a state qualifier. First state qualifier wasn't until my sophomore year.
Wow.
So
there's a point to Andrew McPhee for the escape. Cut the lead to 5 as inside 30 seconds of this second period. 160-pound weight class.
They're every bit of that 160 in this weight class,
yes, they are.
too.
Again, you can kind of see in the last couple the big difference in strength and size.
Another situation that could have gone all Andrew's way, but Simon was able to get out of that. That's an absolute incredible feat when it comes to wrestling.
And again, they move off the mat after a couple of spins around. Just half a second to go in this second period. An 8-1 lead for Simon Allen from New Lex.
But, hey, there's 6 minutes in a wrestling match. Anything can happen. That's what I've always said. And whether or not whoever comes out of this match, they're going to look at this and when they get older and say, you know what, I gave it my all today.
McPhee's call on the start for the third period. He elects to start in the neutral position. He needs to get some points.
Andrew comes from a phenomenal family. His dad is a pastor. And his mother. He and his mother and his father are both masters in nursing. He has 2 younger brothers who have wrestled today. I will say this: his youngest brother wrestled yesterday and got second place in the MVL. And I want to say congratulations to Noah McPhee on that feat. That's not something easy to do as a 7th grader. And then Caleb, his younger brother, ended up achieving 4th, and he was the one he had lost to Michael Eccleberry earlier in the day and lost to another young man. I don't remember who exactly it was, and hopefully get that to you when I can.
Well, yeah, it's nice to talk about the lineage, though, because, parents, what a vital role they play. And, because wrestling is an all-day, especially in the novice programs around here, that's an all-day thing.
It's a grind. Like I've said, it's not just a grind for the kids. It's a grind for the family, especially when you see your son in this kind of position that Andrew has Simon in. Like, what do you do as a parent? Do you freak out? Do you, what do you cheer for him? How do you do it? It's literally, you're almost confused as a fan watching it. What do you say to the wrestler and how to help them out?
But I come from a family of my 3 sons all played basketball in the wintertime, but they all wrestled as novices, and the biggest trophy we have in our house is from a novice tournament. So it's been near and dear to my heart.
It's definitely a change, but athletes are athletes. Right here, Andrew's got himself in a good – I'll tell you, that was pretty impressive for Simon to get out of that. That was almost –
that was dangerous.
That's what I call a momentum changer if that had happened, because he was about to put him on his shoulders flat, and he was able to realize where he was.
That might have been a win right away. But instead, still down 7. So within this last 30 seconds, McPhee is going to have to make something happen. You talk about he's a little bit taller. Is that a plus or a minus for a wrestler?
You know, and it depends on the situation. For Andrew, it's never been a negative because his legs are so long. He's able to do a lot of the positives of being tall. Simon is another one who isn't. He is not definitely not one of the shorter ones. He is, but he's very, I want to say, methodical as well in regards to how he wrestles. He has wrestled some of the toughest. He actually wrestled the #1 in the state at Division II in the name of Doug Terry from Granville, and gave him a very good match. I mean, it was 9-2, but it was a very tough 9-2.
Last 3 seconds as they battle, and that will do it.
I want
10-1, but that doesn't tell you how good that match was.
Absolutely not. Never look at the numbers on a scorecard or on a bracket to see how tough a match is.
And you can say, Christian Mason, I'm Kevin Rao. I tell you, it's been fast and furious out here. We're ready to go for the next one. But what we've seen today is just some tremendous matches.
Oh, I've never been so impressed with the wrestling I've seen today. You have, I mean, yes, you see a lot of New Lexington. Yes, you see a lot of West Muskingum. Yes, you see a lot of Sheridan. But it's the grind. Right now we have another New Lexington kid in Lane Talbot, and we have Marshall Humphrey from Maysville. And I want to say this about Marshall is he is not someone to look past.
170-pound weight class. Can we see Marshall Humphrey, Maysville? Of course, New Lex, we're getting used to their singlets. They're, of course, got the stripe down the back.
Maysville has a very solid program. They really have rebuilt since Coach Sean Connors had come in. They have been struggling for a while, and he really came in and revived it. They've had some very talented athletes in the last few years. Marshall is in one of those, was an example of one of those athletes who is very good. He's a 3-sport athlete. He's good in the classroom. He works hard, and he believes that he has a chance to make it somewhere and be successful.
Now there you saw a little different approach with just 2 hands on the back on the up wrestler Talbot. Why do that as opposed to getting down and getting around the waist?
Well, that's called the optional start. So basically, if in this sample, he's about to put him right in the feist-tight cradle here.
This is a dangerous position.
Cradles are very, very common, but they're very, very easy to pin your opponent in because the fact you literally are putting their head straight into their kneecap.
And there is the pin.
But going back to when he started an optional start, so we have an optional start. Sometimes the wrestler wants to kind of make the other wrestler think, well, what is he going to do? What his options are is when he puts his hands on the center of the back, he could either A, elect to send him neutral by pushing him off, or B, he could elect to what he did, go right on top and crack him down into a pinning combination.
So it almost looks like, you're like you say, he wants to allow the escape, but in that, it was just a tactic to get in a position
Correct.
He wanted to be in.
Right here we actually have another, I want to say, I call it a comeback story in a sense, because David Harper from Philo versus Dylan Hines from Tri-Valley.
And Harper, just let me point out, is the one, he's got the sleeve, the short sleeve on his left arm.
Last year he sustained a very gruesome shoulder injury and took him out the entire year. And as you can tell, this is going to be one of those matches. It's back, forth, back and forth.
And you see Philo, David Harper with 2 points, and then another, we get 2 points on a reversal.
Now you see that Harper was called for stalling, for attempting to bring him back to the mat. So instead of risking another stall point, he lets him go for an escape.
So that's where we stand. 3-2. Hines from Tri-Valley on top.
Now, Dylan Hines, a senior from Tri-Valley, is another one that I've gotten the pleasure of knowing as well. And he is he's an overall good kid. He plans to attend college to wrestle. He's hoping for a couple acceptance letters, and I wish him the best of luck on that.
Absolutely. Always fun to see him at the next level.
David, I believe, is a junior and is a very tough wrestler. He just, when you lose that 1 year, sometimes it really does affect you. But as you can see here, he's coming to him just as much as the other guy.
How much does an injury like that takes you out the whole year, how hard is it to come back from that?
Well, and I'm actually a example of that. My junior year of college in 2012, I had shoulder surgery to repair a torn labrum, and I had to miss my entire junior season. It was one of the hardest things I had to do. And then my senior year, I was able to come back and compete, and I didn't nearly
But
have
are
as
you worried
good.
about that first match then, or the first practice?
I was excited.
Oh, okay.
I was so excited to get back. Now, I didn't do very well, but it was just great to be back on the mat again.
I just say, you athletes of all stripes, coming off that injury, whether it's a knee injury in football or, as a shoulder injury for a wrestler.
Oh, and you got elbows for base. I mean, you got it all.
Yeah,
I mean, injuries they think, well, just heal up and come back. It's not easy to come right back. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you're not in the same mindset as you were before. But as you can see, Harper's mindset is focused on winning this title.
So they will start in the neutral position with Hines ahead by 1. Hines, the Tri-Valley wrestler, David Harper from Philo. We just see the strength at play there to try to get the dominant position. And right there, that doesn't look like much is going on, but talk about fatiguing.
Like I said before, you may not think it's physically draining, but right there, they're mentally just going, oh my goodness, will something just happen?
Right.
And it's like when you put two of the same force together, it was basically what you just saw. That's why he had to call a stalemate.
Minute and a half to go in this second period. Another good one in this MVL Championship day. Hines shoots. Can't quite get control yet. Trying to, and loses his grip.
Harper is not backing down. I'm telling you, this is what you want to see as in a wrestling match. You want to see this kind of wrestling right here where it's like 3-2 and it could go either way.
And who will come out of still no control for either wrestler. And both of them, and there's the turnaround to get the lead.
That's just the willing. I'm not getting taken down today. It's my turn to do it. Sometimes it's all mental.
Well, for Filer, their first wrestler in the championship, their fans definitely into it here at Crooksville. We'll have an escape, so we are tied at 4. 30 seconds to go, second period. Talk about a match that could go either way.
Oh, man. And thing is, right off the bat, Hines took him down. You're thinking, oh, boy, this is going to be another one of those quick ones. But then all of a sudden, Harper just has a new look to him, and he just comes right out back.
Well, it's a matter of fighting out of that disadvantage to live another day.
Right. They always say the first guy to score wins, but in this situation, he says you're going to earn it first.
And again, can he get a turnaround? He does. So Harper with the 2-point lead down the takedown right before the end of the second period, but the next 2 minutes of this one should be even more of a battle.
I'm sweating just watching this match, as much as these guys are. My goodness.
Again, the 182-pound class. Harper from Philo on the bottom. Dylan Hines for Tri-Valley on top. And we get a caution called.
Called on red. I'm assuming there must have been a jump for the top or maybe started in an ill position.
And the escape adds to the lead for David Harper.
People might think, oh, that's just 1 point, but I'm telling you, that 1 point can change the entire output of the match.
Well, that's huge because, again, a takedown would have tied it, and it doesn't anymore.
And the reason why you'll see a lot of people go, well, just get your one. The problem is, though, if you try to, sometimes when you go for that reversal, you get put on your back. And sometimes you got to do the best thing you can do to get out before you even try to get that takedown.
Minute and a half to go in this third period.
That's a situation where you'll see a lot in this kind of a weight class with these kind of wrestlers. And as you can see, people at home are probably thinking, holy moly, that knee looks like it's going out of place. That's why we stop those matches, and that's why we do that.
Right. When you hope you do it in time.
Oh, I've had matches where I do it too early, but I'm telling you, if you don't do it too early, then it becomes ugly. You'll get squads. You don't want that. Now, as you can see, as Harper received the takedown after a call was questioned to make sure that we had it. So sometimes, you ask a scoring question to make sure the scores are right. Both wrestlers are being treated fairly. That's the key here.
So a bigger lead now, 5-9-4 it is. A minute 13 and allows the escape.
If I'm Hines, I'm going for something. You don't have to go big yet, but you need to go. You need to get some points here on the board.
And Harper was down early in this one.
I mean, but you watch this match over and over again, and you think, how in the world do you come back after being taken down within the first 10 seconds? And then
in danger in those first 10 seconds.
Well, absolutely. I mean, right now, and the thing is, 11 points in a wrestling match is not easy to score.
And he is just...
He's taken it to him.
He really has, and he's lasted all 3 periods. I mean, we're getting the count.
This is a position where I've been in, and this is actually in my senior year, a position that I got stuck in one of my last matches I had. But Hines was able to get out of that. Now, he ended up giving up 2 backs, but if you're Dylan, you do not want to be pinned here in this position. The worst thing you can do is get pinned. But the best thing you can do is pin the other guy.
So not a lot of action as we get down to the 5-5, but believe me, they're trying to position down there. And he's going to let him escape, and that'll do it.
Now, there's a little bit of a roughness there at the end of the match, and all of a sudden, sometimes you get that excitement, but don't let it fool you. Both these athletes are wonderful young men.
Well, and you know, all you put into it, it's okay to see a little frustration once in a while. It is, there's so much energy being expended. So the 182 pounds goes to David Harper, and a bit of a comeback there.
Oh, yes.
And then we'll go to the 195, Toner for New Lex against Hill of Tri-Valley.
Toner for New Lex is a senior, and for him, it's his first MVL Finals, his first chance to show what he's capable of. Hill is also, I believe, is his first MVL Finals. So, again, and Hill right there, excellent job by using his momentum against him.
Kind of olayed him a little bit, then got behind him.
Sometimes too much force is bad, sometimes you need it. But then that situation, he was doing, both wrestlers doing what they're supposed to do, and one just was able to throw one by and get it at 2.
Remember, I live in the Grandview Heights area in Columbus, and there was a wrestler there that used a move called the cement mixer, I think.
Yes.
And it was like risk reward. He said, I'm either going to win or I'm going to get pinned.
Correct. Right here, he's got him in a cradle situation where he's got it locked, as you can see. Right now, he's trying to post his head on the mat with him on his back. But as you can tell, Toner is one of those guys that's very difficult to pin. And oh wow, we got a
reversal there.
We almost had a situation where he got a reversal to his back, almost more than 2 points.
So it looked like in that case, Hill looked like he might get the pin, and in a whisker, it looked like Toner had a chance at the edge.
And in a lot of Toner's matches this year, he actually will be put there, and all of a sudden something just switches on, and then he ends up the guy on top with being on top.
So,
but Hill, I haven't seen much of Hill this year, but Hill is one of those guys you cannot look past. He is, as you can tell, he's very tough. He's not easy to turn, as you can tell.
Yeah,
being in the 195-pound weight class, if you're turning your opponent, you've earned it.
A little more effort to do it. Again, that's Toner on top. Hill from Tri-Valley will be able to stand up. Can he get out? And back down to the mat he goes. As now Toner tries to get him turned. And there's the turn.
Right.
But
as you can see, though, Toner did not make sure his weight went forward. He settled back and was able to not get rolled. That's actually a very big deal in regards to wrestling.
We are tied now at 4 going to period number 2.
Seems like as we go on more, the matches just get tougher. They get closer. They get,
I tell you, it's been a good day today.
All day today, there's been great matches. Even in the consolations, we had some phenomenal matches. And that's why I want people to understand is just because these guys are going for first and second does not mean the rest of those guys are a walk in the park.
Well, you mentioned some first seeds that went down early, so you just never know.
It only matters after the match. It doesn't matter before. You could be ranked 1 and get knocked down first match. I've seen college wrestling in that way all the time.
Hill elected to be down. And
Toner was able to get his 1 there. I didn't see him give it, but I heard him say 1. All of a sudden, then we have another lead change here.
There's the takedown out of the escape. So just like that, Hill for Tri-Valley back on top by 1. I believe. Do I have that wrong? I want to make sure we get this right here. We'll get it.
I believe Hill is up by 1.
Okay. And he's trying to get him turned here.
We were just in this situation in the first period. We'll see how this turns out this time.
Exactly, and Toner reversed it out of this.
What happened here was Hill put his hips on the mat, and Toner was able to come out with the advantage point on that one.
So it is now Toner on top, 7-6. So Hill, who had this has been the seesaw battle. I mean,
we thought that the last match was going to be like this, but this match is defined. I call it the point-for-point match.
And then right now that point is in Toner's favor, as he is on top here right at the edge. He gets him turned over, but couldn't keep him on his back. Almost lost his control.
That's mad awareness right there. Most wrestlers keep going, they get reversed. Right there, he settled back, was able to return to the position he needed to be in order to keep him on in the bottom.
And you could tell he realized that as things were starting to get away from him.
The thing is, and I'm sometimes guilty of this, sometimes I can see it before it happens, but I've been around, when you've been around wrestling so long, it's like, even when you're on a basketball game, you know when there's an advantage going towards one way. You know in hockey, you know in baseball when you just see an advantage going in a certain way.
So Toner from New Lex up by a point. Hill elected to start in the neutral position at the beginning of this third period.
Hill's been able to take him down a couple of times, probably why he decided to go neutral.
And there's the takedown. That's a big one.
And we have another lead change. This is one of those matches everyone wanted to see today.
So Hill now up by 1. Now, in terms of interlocking hands, obviously it's okay to join your own hands. What's illegal?
If you come around the waist or even over the arms, if you have to have, like, in a pinning, unless it's a pinning situation, you cannot lock your hands. Basically, if the offensive wrestler locks his hands around the defending wrestler's waist, that's when it becomes interlocking hands. It becomes a technical violation.
I have to say,
oh man,
there was an escape that made it even, but then right back at it is Hill.
This is a 5. And then you got a 5-point move here, a possible stick pin situation. We'll see what happens here. Whatever happens here, I would not doubt either one of these wrestlers' success in this match tonight.
Tremendous back and forth today.
That's hard to not get pinned. Sometimes
Toner survives, but big 3 points in the near fall.
It's now a 5-point difference. It's now you got a 13-8 instead of a 10-8 situation. For Toner, he's got to find a way to.
He's got to look for a pin.
And he get put back on his back. Right now, if you're Hill, you pin him.
And there's the pin.
For Hill, that's. And I believe these guys wrestled earlier in the year, and Hill did not come out on top. And for Hill, this is a huge motivation for him.
And there were times when it looked like it was going the other way. But Hill able to get the big win for Tri-Valley. It took him into the third period to do it. Another great match. Hats off to both of those wrestlers. So we go to the 220-pound weight class. It'll be a great name, Titan Blair for New Lexington, A.J. Collins for Tri-Valley.
2 seniors, both wrestled each other. Know both of them personally. Phenomenal young men. Titan Blair is doing C-Tech, I believe or computer science at Tri-County Career Center, while A.J. is a senior at Tri-Valley High School. I've known A.J.'s family for many years, his brother in baseball and in wrestling, and he's just a class act. Titan, another one of those guys you want to have in the room. Just 2 phenomenal young men.
Again, Tri-Valley with the pinstripe singlet. New Lex, the gray bottom.
Now, this weight class was kind of rough. There were only like 3 people in the weight class. So for Titan, he hasn't wrestled today. So we'll see how that affects him today.
Again, still trying to figure it out. Neither has hit the mat yet. Almost trying to figure each other out there.
We're getting to what I call the weight classes where they really do a lot more feeling out. You don't see as much shooting. You don't see as much, attack offense. You see more upper body work. Now, you will see sometimes it go to a different situation, but we'll see here. Both these wrestlers have always been one of these wrestlers who like to wrestle in the top position like this, but have both been successful from that position.
You can tell trying to control their hands, grabbing wrists and hands both. And it's really interesting when you're that close to each other, there's not really much trash talking that goes on in these things.
People think, and this is what I try to let people understand in these matches, you think, oh, this guy's a dirty wrestler, this guy's this. You don't know what they're thinking on the mat. Sometimes they just go with what they feel and what flows. Sometimes certain moves, they flow, and it just doesn't look right. But in this situation, these two guys are neck and neck. This is no score. We got 10 seconds left in the period, and it can go either way. And these guys have wrestled before, and each time has been a phenomenal match.
We come down to the closing seconds of this first period. Still no points scored. Now, this is kind of critical decision time because you see in a lot of these matches an escape could be the way to get on the board.
Choice went to Tri-Valley, and for Coach Harbin at Tri-Valley, who I've gotten to know, elects to choose down. The reason why is the idea is we want to get points on the board. We got to take the lead. No one's been down yet, so the worst thing that could happen is, okay, if he gets ridden out, then maybe we get a different situation. Yeah. As you can see, AJ came up fairly quickly within the first 10 seconds of the match.
And there is that point to AJ Collins to take the lead on the escape. Well, we get used to seeing the real big guys, for example, at the college and, the Olympic level. And, again, those 1 points can be all the difference.
And I wrestled 285 in college, and in college is definitely a different breed of 285-pounders.
Yeah. And again, this will be our last match of the day. We will not have the 285 today just because of time constraints, but we will certainly have some information on the website about all of that. So this will be our last match today, but it's a good one.
I will say, though, in the last match, you'll have Logan Morris versus Jacob Danielson. So those of you who aren't able to watch,
New Lex,
yes, another rivalry. These two have wrestled, and it was a 1 point or 2 point difference for Sunday Wrest. Now, Danielson being the one who has beat Morris in the past, lost to him early in the year. This is one of those matches, just their grind. They're both juniors. They've seen each other a bunch, and they're ready to go. Jacob this year has seen a different success. He's seen the best heavyweight in certain divisions. He's seen what it takes to be good. And for Logan, he bumped up from 220 pounds for last year and has now found a little bit of success there in heavyweight.
Again, this is our last one at 220. Titan Blair, New Lex. And A.J. Collins, Tri-Valley. A.J. Collins with the 1-0 lead as we come down to it at the end of this second period.
For me, these are the kind of matches I sometimes enjoy watching because even though it is 1-0, they're doing whatever they can to get. It's almost like the first one to get a takedown is going to win this match.
There's a lot going on out there. They're going to look at some wrapping that Titan Blair had on his arm. So Blair will start down. Let's see if he can get the escape to tie this one up.
If I'm Titan, I'm not going big. I'm getting my one. The thing is, the worst thing you can do is, again, try to reverse and get put to your back for a 3-point near fall.
And Collins trying to stay in charge.
Collins is what you call a tank on top. He's not that he's, when I say heavy, it doesn't mean in the sense of heavy. It means he's just hard to get up on, hard to control, hard to get up from. As you can see, he's behind his hips. He's controlling his hips. And as a wrestler on top, if a guy starts to stand up, you control the hips, you can't go anywhere, just like in any other sport.
Now, you notice on the bottom, though, Titan Blair trying to get to his knees, but you mentioned the weight and the position of A.J. Collins just not letting him do that.
He's got the arms barred there. He needs to make sure he keeps that legal as well, which in the situation he's very good about keeping that legal. You have Titan on bottom, you can see his head's kind of on the mat, and he got a potentially dangerous call for the left side. Maybe his shoulder came up. Maybe we had a situation we didn't see. But again, the referee's right there to make that call, and that's the call you want to make sooner rather than later.
So they will start again. Titan Blair trying to get out from under A.J. Collins, but Collins in control as we go to the last minute of this third period.
Again, for those of you who aren't present here or haven't been able to see, Jacob Danielson or Logan Morris wrestle for a heavyweight position, that's unfortunate. But these two wrestlers have shown some success this year. Both ranked in the state, both ready to go. Both who have a shot to make it to state level.
Able to stand up, but not escape. Still a 1-0 lead.
When you're on bottom, you got to have control of those wrists, and we didn't see that on bottom. Sometimes you got to do that.
And you can see that, again, kind of hand-to-hand combat there, literally.
Yeah.
And Collins has a good feel every time that Blair tries to make a move to get himself out of it.
It's mat awareness. I always say mat awareness, mat awareness, mat awareness. If you have good mat awareness, you can wrestle in any position.
And we come down to the final 5 seconds. This may be a 1-0 match.
But this 1-0 match feels for
that
them
was
like it's
effort.
a long time.
Yeah. So the win will go to A.J. Collins of Tri-Valley.
And this was Titan's first time being in the MVL finals. For him, he's a senior. He's ready to move on after this level, whether it be in his academic career, whether it be his wrestling career.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. What a great number of matches we had. We apologize to the heavyweights, the guys in the 285 weight class. Hope you've enjoyed it today. Christian, thanks.
Nope. Hey, glad to be here. Hopefully do it again. These kids have really shown that they belong on the mat today.
For Christian Mason, my broadcast partner today, I'm Kevin Rouch. Good afternoon, everyone.